I'm saying? So take me some of that shot, you know what I'm saying? And came to, you know what I'm saying? You put your word up and now something in. You know what I'm saying? Watch out for us, kid. You know what I'm saying? It's all real.
And we went up to like Huntington Beach. That's where I met like the owners of Flip. And yeah, and then I stayed there.
Yeah, you ended up turning pro for Flip when you were just 17 years old, right?
Yeah, I may have turned 18, like right after I turned 18.
So how did that all happen? How did you end up meeting them and ended up riding for the team and going pro? How was all that?
Yeah, it was like it may have been like a year earlier, or maybe a couple of years earlier. Rune Glifberg had come to Stockholm, and I met him there then, and we skated and we hung out, and then when I went to the States, like somehow he found out that like that I was there. So I assuming that he told like the Flip guys like he already had told the Flip guys about this kid in Stockholm, like when he was here. Like I didn't know anything about that, of course, and I didn't know anything about either like going to San Diego, like Huntington Beach, that I was going to meet like the Flip guys. But somehow he knew, or he was friend, of course, because Matthias Ringstrom, a vert dude, and Rune is a vert dude, like so they all must have had some contact. And then he had told like the Flip guys that there's this kid in Stockholm, and like now the kid is here, so they just came and checked me out. Or like Jeremy Fox came to watch me skate one day. But I'm assuming that he already knew about me from Rune.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything. I was just like, oh, what? The fucking owner of Flip's gonna watch me skate? Like this is weird. Like if it was some kind of audition or I don't know. I don't even know what to think about it, but it was strange.
Yeah, so when you came over to the West Coast, you didn't have any plans on going pro. You didn't have anything you were aiming
No,
for
nothing.
this company. It was just you're just going. Where were you living at?
Which is insane also because the guy, Matthias, had hooked it up. Like when we were staying in San Diego, this dude that was like, or this dude, I'll get to that, but the dude is was like team manager or something for Evil, like the company Evil, or like was it a shoe company? What's that shoe company? You know, Evil. You
No.
remember that? I think it was the fucking shoe company called that. Evil. Anyway, that he rode for, or was it? I can't remember. He was like, "Oh, we can stay at his house in San Diego," and this dude, right, is Chris Hensley, Matt Hensley's brother, and we're like staying like three or four Swedish dudes at his place, and then like Matt Hensley's also there, but he wasn't there that much when we were there for some reason. But his dog was there. His pool, like we were like playing pool with Matt Hensley as like a 16-year-old kid, which was insane, like to end up there. And I'm like, what? We can stay at his house, like. And then we went to Huntington Beach. Yeah,
It was in Huntington Beach where you ended up meeting. Was that where you ended up meeting the Baker dudes and Reynolds and Jim Grant?
yeah, exactly. Like every, yeah, that came, yeah, that came a bit later on, yeah, because then I stayed first at the Chris and Matt Hensley's place in San Diego, and then I ended up staying in Huntington Beach at the so-called Flip apartment with all the English people and Rue Glifberg, and Jeff was living there too at the time. Jeff Rowley, who else? Some other people too. And then we went like to the Huntington Park, and that's where I met like I think that's where I met Reynolds and those dudes.
You already knew who they were, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I knew who they were, yeah, for sure. And because I think Andrew had like he had moved from Florida to. That's because Ali Carnes, the English dude, vert guy. I was hanging out a lot with the vert dudes because Rune Glifberg and Matthias and Ali Carnes, and he rode for Birdhouse. So I met like some Birdhouse dudes, and also there was a guy from Liverpool. I stayed at his family house in Liverpool because he was also amateur from Flip. And so he also stayed at the Flip department, but he later on started writing for Birdhouse, and then Ali Carnes was writing for Birdhouse, and and Andrew Reynolds moved from Florida to California, and he wrote for Birdhouse. So it was like, and it was all under the same distribution, Flip and Birdhouse, and Hookups. This board company that Jeremy Klein probably still has, no team writers, just boards.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's made some good money from that. Like no team writers, just boards. But yeah, and I think that's how mainly I came in contact with them because it was under the same distribution, and then we all just were hanging out together.
Yeah, so you're living in the West Coast, you're meeting all these people. Your
Yeah.
only job at the time is skating, right?
What's that?
The only job you had to have at that time, it was just skateboarding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Nothing else. That's all we did every day.
So, I guess what was your day-to-day life like back in those times? 17, 18, 19 years old, pro skater living in the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, usually or like in the beginning, as I remember, at some point we're like always going to Main Street by the pier, and this breakfast joint called Jan's. For some reason, we just started going there every morning, and I think it came from like Jeff and Ed Templeton because they were a vegan, and that was some good vegan place. And I don't know, that just became our morning breakfast joint. And then any skate spot that anyone was going to, we will all just go together and everyone just try to skate. And then yeah, that was it. Then to get beers at night and same thing the next day.
Yeah. How old were you when you started even just lightly playing around with things like beer or weed? Was that in Sweden or was that already when you came over to America?
No, yeah, like this, like one of my friends, older or not older, he's a couple of years older, told me like how he remembered like because they all had an apartment in Stockholm like where everybody just crashed out, and these all these skaters they were like from not from Stockholm but they had all moved to Stockholm, and everyone stayed in the same apartment, and they were drinking beer and like smoking weed, and I was always the little kid of the in the group, you know. Once I started hanging out with them, and I mean, I heard different stories. Like I can't remember which one was the first, but like at some point they were like, oh, discussing like, oh, what are we gonna, we're gonna give him some weed or like, what are we gonna do? They had discussed it, and then like one time they gave me let me get stoned, and then from then on, like I guess I just started smoking.
So it was in Sweden.
It was in Sweden, but I mean, I remember the first time I got drunk, which was horrible. It was like me and my brother and like some people from school. Like we were, I don't know how, 14, 15 years old. We were like really young. And someone has said like, oh, I could get someone to buy us alcohol. And then we went like to the government owned liquor store because you can only buy liquor from the government owned liquor store in Sweden. And someone had like got the list with all the prices and all the alcohol from. It was kind of like a catalog. And I remember looking at the thing for the cheapest thing, and like, yeah, I want that California white, like this disgusting, really cheap white wine. like a half a bottle, not even a full bottle, but it was like a half a bottle. And yeah, I drank that. It was so disgusting. And then I got drunk and I puked, and I thought, well, that fucking sucked. How the fuck do people do drink this? Is bullshit. And then I don't know how long, maybe a year or a couple of years went by before I did it again. It was like the first time was complete shit. I couldn't understand how people did that. Like, so yeah, I mean, I guess, and then gradually it was just getting more and more.
Yeah. Why did you decide to try it again if the first time was so shit?
Yeah, I can't like that. I can't remember the second time at all. I can only remember the first time, and I remember so clearly, like, this is absolute shit. How can people be drinking this? Which is weird now to look like looking back at it, like, yeah, what the fuck? I know people, other people, like friends, that they were like also really young, puked, got their stomach pumped, and like went to the hospital, and then like never ever drank again. But for some reason, I did it again, and then a lot again and again.
During the piss drunks era, how old were you?
18. I mean, I remember we were in Paris, France, when I turned 18. And how do I remember that? Yeah, because I broke my fucking collarbone on my 18th birthday skating at the La Dome, like trying to do film something with the with French Fred. It was the first time I met him, and I heard about him. But I think at this stage he was still called Fred 11 because he was filming for 401 Video Magazine. And yeah, and he was there, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to film something?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And I tried to ollie up onto this platform, and then someone had pissed there, so it's like slid out in the piss and then fell down from this whatever height straight onto my shoulder. And that was my 18th birthday, and then I must have been, and then like after that, I think we flew to the States. I can't remember exactly, like, or if I went to like to Liverpool. But I mean, I was like 18 or 19 at like this piss drunks era started.
Yeah. How did that exactly start? Who came up with the name? Who came up with the logo? Who was in the early tobacco
Yeah,
use? Reynolds, right?
yeah, but like the actual name, and there's probably this a couple of different stories, but like I only know how I remember it, and the name that came from a Notorious B.I.G. song, like a really, really old one, maybe one of the first songs, Party and Bullshit, I think the song is called, or one of those really early Notorious B.I.G. songs, where he says somewhere in the song, let's get pissy drunk, or they got pissy drunk. That's, I think, where some of it, the name comes from. So, like, from a Notorious B.I.G. song, and it was me and Aaron Piercy and this other guy from was he from like Flagstaff, Arizona? And then we like just sat one day and like we should call ourselves something, and like, oh, the pissy drunk, because we were like singing the Big song. Let's get pissy drunk. Oh, pissy drunk. Let's piss drunks. We're the piss drunks. Something like that. It morphed into like the piss drunks. We are the piss drunks. And then, from what I remember, this is Aaron Piercy came up with the logo. He was like, "We have to have a logo." I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And then Dead Kennedys, he loved the Dead Kennedys, so he just straight up like took it from the Dead Kennedys logo and made like the whatever the wrong way turned P D, so it would be like symmetrical. And this is what I remember, and I'm sure everyone has their own fucking story. But I think I'm pretty sure that that's where how it started, or I mean the name and the logo at least. And then when we went back to California, we are like, oh, we're the piss drunks. I'm like, who's like, oh, we're all the piss drunks. Look, we got a logo and everything. And then and everyone got it tattooed and everything. And I got it tattooed like the the last person to get it tattooed, I think. Yeah, but and then all kinds of people I've seen like some model for like what's that brand called? Paul. Is it Paul Smith? Is that some fashion brand?
Not sure.
Anyway, I've seen like some dude in a runway show like oh he's got tattoos and then like he turns around and he has like a massive piss drunks logo on his neck. I'm like holy fuck, who the fuck's that guy? Where did he get it from? Who knows? But there was like some article in Rolling Stones about the like piss drunks. I can't remember what it was called, but it was just us. They
Yeah.
had an interview with the skate crew in the Rolling Stones, which was weird,
I
but
mean, crazy.
cool.
Like it really was a immensely influential thing, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like me and my friends being ourselves like
Yeah,
15, 16, 14, and we're watching these videos that have already been come out, but we're watching them.
yeah,
It's like that was like a whole world to us, and we was like it was like one of the that logo was very strong as well. We didn't really know.
yeah, yeah.
I never really all I thought was like, oh, PD piss drunks, but I didn't really think about it like that. I didn't really think about it like, oh, it has to do with like drinking alcohol and being drunk.
Yeah,
It's like I didn't think about really any of that, but kind of like because I'm so young, you know, but in
yeah,
this conscious mind, you're watching the videos and you're seeing everything and you know, you're trying to replicate that and that's what you're trying to do, you know?
yeah. No, but I mean, if we just thought it looked cool and we were like just having fun, like that's how we just started at least. It was like never meant to be anything more than that.
At what point, so you're doing all this and like this is how you're living your life, you know? At what point did you ever even feel like all of the substances that you were doing, like even if it was just alcohol and weed, if it was alcohol all the time, or weed all the time, like at what point did you start thinking that this was a problem? Did you ever think that? Because you know, a lot of people around you, everyone was doing it, so it's like the
Yeah. I mean, at some point, I remember this is a story that got told way later to me. Is Shane Heil, you know who that is?
yeah.
From Arizona too, like one of the dudes that we hung out all the time with Arizona who moved to California. I don't know if I heard him say that, I can't remember, but yeah, he told the story of the first time he met me. I don't remember this. And the way he explained it, like now when I hear it now after, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fucking gnarly. And I was always the little kid, younger than everyone. So I was never 21 even when I was in the States, so I could never buy booze myself. But anyway, this is what he said. First time he met me, I was drinking a 40, and he was like in the middle of the day, and he said like he never saw anyone drink alcohol before it was dark. Before I was the first, and that's like the first time he met me. And like for me, I would never even reflect on it. Like, what do you mean before it got dark? Like, it wasn't even, and like now I'm just thinking about it. Like, that must have been pretty fucking gnarly to see. Like some kid, the youngest, smallest and I was really fucking small until I was maybe like 18, 19. Youngest kid, smallest kid, drinking a 40 at noon or whatever, like before it's dark. But I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. And then he maybe thought, like, oh, but he's fucking European. That's probably normal for them. But obviously now, looking back, of course, it's not normal. Or I mean, it's not healthy at least.
Yeah, yeah. What do you
But
think? back.
But now, like, but there's nothing I can do really because I didn't think anything was wrong with it. So, whatever. I didn't even reflect on it back then at all.
Yeah. And at that time, the only thing you were doing, it was just weed and alcohol, right? For a while.
Now, and then I mean, maybe I was 19 at this point. I remember we went to San Diego for the Toy Machine premiere, like the first Toy Machine video, maybe. Was it like Welcome to Hell? Or was that the first? Whatever. Whatever. It was some Toy Machine video. And then there was this company called 151 that had like gnarly dudes from like, I don't know where they're from, like Portland or something, like Burnside, gnarly pool skaters. And I had heard about them and heard that they also smoked crack. And I was like, I want to hang out with those dudes. So I was maybe like 19 and they were like, somehow they let me hang out with them. I'm like, oh, I want to hang out with those dudes. They seem cool and dangerous, and I know that they smoke crack. It was, yeah, and like Jim Greco was there too. I think it was through him that they let me hang out with them. Like now looking back at it, uh, but and then yeah, I smoked crack with them. I remember Jim was really pissed at me, like you're fucking crazy. Like why? What the fuck are you doing? And then like when we got back to Huntington, everyone was like, "What are you doing, man? You're a fucking stupid little kid. Don't fucking smoke crack. It's dangerous." I remember like everyone was pissed at me, and anyway, and that was like the first time, and then like s similar to like when I the first time I got drunk, like I was like, "What? This is it? Like what the fuck?" It wasn't anything at all that I expected. Like I thought it was going to be way, way more something, but I was like, "What? This is it?" Like because I've seen it in movies and like and how people just get hooked just, one after one time. So that was also a disappointment. I was like, "What the fuck? What's the big fuss?" Like this wasn't that great at all. Yeah,
Why do you think that's when you hear about these Portland dudes smoking crack, a lot of people would be like, fuck that, I'm not having any part of that. Why do you think
yeah.
like for you it was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna do that?
I don't know. It just seemed, I don't know, exciting somehow. Something must have been like, it just seemed like something I wanted to be a part of for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't
So when
know.
you did that, did you feel addicted right away? Did you feel hooked right away? What was it like?
No, not at all. That's what I was also like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Like, nah, this is not even that great. How could you get hooked to this? It wasn't even, and not even close to what I thought it was going to be. So I was like, what? Well, that wasn't that bad, or that wasn't that good either. Like, yeah, it's fucking weird.
So what happened from there? Did you just start using it regularly? Was it a part of your life after that? Or
No, no, that's also probably why I could like distance myself. Like, well, yeah, I fucking did it. It didn't do anything. I'm not fucking hooked. But then, like later on, yeah. So it's definitely not true. Then for me, it wasn't true. Like, what you do it once and you're hooked. But that's the thing. I only did it that one time, so it wasn't really that. I mean, wouldn't say that it wasn't that much of an effect, but I mean, if you do something just one time and then never again, not that much is going to happen really. So it came way later after, like when I got back to Europe,
yeah.
actually. Then it's like when I started doing it every day. When yeah, I think living in Brighton because we had done like a European tour. to all like the contests in Europe that is every year. And then when that tour ended, the guy that was driving the van was like, "I'm going home to Brighton," because that's where he lived. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, well, can I come with you? Like, what? I don't know where to go. Like, so I just ended up, well, like going with him there.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just skating there still. And he was a photographer also. So we would like filmed sometimes and shot photos skating. And they had a skate park there. And I met some skaters there. And then I met some drug dealers there. And then, yeah,
But when you're living in America and you're pro for flip and your only job is skateboarding, how
yeah,
much say that type of lifestyle opens up? Do you feel like for you it opened up the doors to being able to do this type of shit where like you can be drunk all day? Because like if you have to check in to some regular job, it's probably much harder to be drunk all day, or it's much harder
yeah,
into this type of shit.
probably. But I mean, I don't know if it opened up anything. I mean, I was in school when I got drunk the first time, so. But I mean, of course, I can do that every day, and like, well, I go to school hungover or whatever. But I mean, now I know that in the end it doesn't really matter because I've met so many people from so many different whatever lifestyles and jobs or whatever, and they're like they have regular jobs and they're fucking addicts. So
Mm.
in the end, I don't think it really matters
Yeah, it doesn't
what
matter
no,
you guys, it's just a matter of I guess the individual.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because, like I said, I've met so many different people that do all kinds of shit that you would think that like, oh, they won't be able to do that, but yeah, they somehow they do.
Yeah. I was watching your epically latered and I'm
Yeah,
talking to you now and shit. And I noticed that like these things that you've been through, you're able to kind of speak about them really openly, really organically, and just straight up saying what happened. Uh
yeah,
why do you feel you're able to do that so openly and like in a it's like you're just talking about it, the straight facts.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know really. I mean, I don't really know what else to do or like I don't know why I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm getting distracted now because I'm looking at the screen and the fucking dog is trying to get up on a pillow.
What's his name or her name?
Peggy.
Oh, Peggy.
Yeah, you just didn't see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I think at some point, like I realized that that's like the only thing you can really do, especially if you want to like get out of it, or like if you want to, yeah, if you want to like somehow, uh, I don't know what the word for it would be. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know anything else to do with it. Not talk about it and then just keep living in the misery. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Um, you know, when I first started skating, maybe a few years after that,
Yeah.
came out Let's Live. And Let's Live by Volcom,
Oh yeah.
that was probably the video that me and my friends watched the most from
Oh
our
yeah.
came out.
Okay.
Um, we went to the demos, like the Volcom was doing demos for all of this, and we
Yeah,
went
yeah.
the whole thing. And it was through that that I became aware of like Shane Cross, and I became aware of like the whole situation that occurred in the act
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like the unfortunate circumstances of it. And hearing you talk about it later, like in the epically latered, and finding out that it was like, you went into a coma, and then you wake up, and then you're in jail for a while, and you're also
Yeah,
dealing with the grief of everything that just happened. Um,
yeah,
but then afterwards, uh, you moved back to Europe, I believe, right?
yeah.
And then you weren't 100% sober right away. Like you actually were doing it and maybe using it to like cope with what was going on and shit. Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
what was that whole situation like? I know it's probably tough to speak on, but like really that being the conclusion of like all of this, all of the drinking and all the partying, how was that?
I mean, I just then I still thought like that I like had to do it just to just to as a coping mechanism. Like this, I thought that I was the only that was the only thing that I knew that I thought that was going to help me. Uh, so like somehow it just made me keep doing it. Like all the shit that happened was like, oh, I have to try to like mask that or like escape from that by keep going like with just using and like somehow like I just thought like that was that was like the only thing I could do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, it doesn't make any sense, that's for sure, but that's what I thought then. I thought like that was that's yeah, that's the only thing I know that I can still do.
Yeah. I feel like it does make sense. You know what I mean? Like it's the amount of pain and grief that comes from something like that. And it's also like your whole world's being flipped upside down.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I mean, and I wasn't able to skate almost at all, and I could like roll around and then like try to do a kickflip, and it's like fuck, it's not working. Fuck this. Oh, I know I can still do drugs. That's not gonna fucking be an issue.
Yeah.
So I just kept doing that.
What was the time in jail like? Was it gnarly?
Yeah, not really. Like I would, it was gnarly in the sense that it was fucking boring. Like nothing. Like sometimes some shit would happen, but it was like nothing good was happening, but like some Asian gang fights or whatever, and like they and like some a guy jumped up on the factory roof in like a protest, and it was like, oh my God, something's happening different, like, and yeah. Otherwise, it was just like the same fucking shit every single day.
What would you do in there? What was your day-to-day life routine like when you were locked up?
Yeah, wake up and then get counted, and then like go make breakfast, and then maybe play some pool, and then count everyone again, and then like maybe play some chess or like some Texas Hold'em. We play Texas Hold'em for like chocolates. Maybe go to the canteen, like buy some more chocolates and watch TV. And then I got to borrow a guitar, like sit, play a guitar, and then like yeah, get counted, make and like eat dinner, and then like get locked up, watch TV. David Letterman was still on the show. I remember that was like in the middle of the night. David Letterman came on, and I just used to watch that and then put the TV on a timer so I didn't have to go up and turn it off from my bed, which was like one step away from the bed, but like so lazy. I put the timer on so I knew like once this is over, I could go. Hang on.
Okay, do you think?
Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, sorry. No, I lost track. What was I saying?
Talking about your time.
The routine. Yeah. Oh, and the Letterman, and and also another kind of funny thing. I had like string on, and then like I screwed a ice cream stick onto a screw and a string so I could like change the channel.
Mm.
Tick, tick, like from the bed. So I could just lay in bed and change the channel. And then I would put the timer on. So like after Letterman, he would turn the TV off. Because I didn't need it, I wouldn't allow it to have the remote control for some reason.
How often could you make phone calls in there?
Yeah, it's as much as if you had money on your phone account, you could call from like, yeah, from 8 in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night, but only like 13 minutes at a time.
Mm.
And I think it would shut off every time it was the muster or whatever, the
Yeah.
count. And when they do it, that's like, it would shut off like 10 minutes before that.
So how
So, I
long,
mean, what's that?
how long were you in jail for?
2 years.
Okay, so then I guess what was it like when you got out?
The most significant thing was I remembered it was like, oh, there's a phone where you can use the internet on, which was the iPhone. And I remember I knew all about it because I've seen it on the news, on the TV. Like, what? You can, but I already, before I had like, it wasn't a smartphone, but it was like one of those phones. But I remember like you could go on the internet or like you could go and check your mails on it, but it wasn't like a screen like an iPhone.
Yeah.
And I mean, like all the and there was all kinds of shit on the news, like global financial crisis. I remember that was a huge thing, and then Michael Jackson died, and then that was all forgotten about. It was the only thing on the TV 24 hours a day. It was like Michael Jackson has died. And I just kept thinking, like, what happened with the fucking global financial crisis and like all this swine flu or whatever flu it was that everything just got forgotten about because Michael Jackson died. And then, yeah,
What'd you start doing when you got out? Were you like, because I mean, literally everything changed from when you went in to when you came out. And I'm not even talking about the world, but I'm just talking about what you do with your day-to-day life. Also,
yeah,
were you using drugs in jail or were you sober in there?
yeah. I mean, so I like my cellmate was doing it, and then I'm like, oh wow, you can get drugs, and it was like, so insanely expensive. I'm like, yeah, fuck that. Like, and I've been like clean from it for a while, and I was like, nah, it's not worth it. And then I was also like on some medication that like every day I had to go up to the medical center or whatever, and like, I mean, I can't remember what exactly it was like some shit for epilepsy and like some pain medicine because I had my brain injury, and so they had started giving me this anti-epilepsy just because I had such a gnarly head injury. And then after I was in a coma, you were not allowed to like just stop that because you could get a fit from it. So yeah,
What exactly was the brain injury that you had?
it was just called like a traumatic brain injury, I think was the name. Acquired brain injury.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy, man. I mean, those things are so scary, like brain injuries
Yeah, no.
and like whatever lasting effects may or may not happen. It's also like situational.
Yeah, and I mean, and in my brain apparently like it was swelling, like, and all this fluid and swelling on the brain. So they did like a little hole, like a drainage pressure thing. They drilled a hole into my skull apparently, which so they could release the pressure.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then like from all and because of the brain injury, and also I got some like calcium build up in the muscles of like some joint, like my hip joint and somewhere else too. But like that was the what I could notice the most. And I remember like they showed me at some point some X-ray, and it just looks like there's some hair or some, but it's bone build or like calcium buildup in the muscle. Some kind of weird like spiderweb bone growth thing,
Yeah.
which came from like the brain injury because it tried to like repair, calcium builds up like when you break. Because I broke all kinds of bones somewhere, so it must have been like some weird error of like, oh, try to fix, like sending some signals to like fix some bones, but there was no bones to be fixed there, so it started like growing inside the muscle.
Mm. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, so like some weird, I never ever heard about it. It was called a hydrotopic ossification or something. Hy- Hydro, hypotop, I don't know, something of ossification.
So you get out of the coma, you go to jail, you spend 2 years in jail, you get out of jail, now you're in like regular society. What do you start doing?
Well, my friend gave me an iPhone straight away. Like, he's like, I know you want one of these. I'm like, what? And then that was insane. Like, oh my God, you can go on the internet on a little screen on your fucking, in your palm. Like, wow. And then, yeah, I mean, what the fuck what did I start doing? Like, I was just living in Stockholm. And then I remember, yeah, and then I got like invited to go on this crew and Supra tour. Like, well, went on some skate trips, even though I couldn't skate. I was just there, uh, which was cool as fuck. Like, met like the Lizard King for the first time. I had heard about him, and I met him, and then I met like all my other old friends, like Chad Muska and Tom Petty was there, and like Ellington. Yeah, that was cool.
So let's talk about your path to sobriety. When did you decide that you were gonna do that? And what were the steps like to doing that?
Well, the steps there was 12 steps. No, but there was the the thing that happened was I drove myself to the psych emergency, and from there, one of my friends' moms called me like the day after and was like, "How are you feeling? I heard you went to the psych ward. How are you?" I'm like, "Not so good." And then I met up with her and talked to her. And this is like one of my friends, like from since we were kids, like maybe since I was like 14. I know this guy, and his parents knew my parents and whatever. So she knew, like, okay, this is, and it like somehow she had worked with like took care of like kids in substance abuse, and they had like maybe got like some kind of a sentence, and then instead of going to jail, like they get to stay at like her family house in the like because they lived like outside of the city as like instead of going to jail. So she knew like something was up, like, and she knew that we had been fucking partying and doing drugs or whatever. But then after I talked to her, she was like, "Well, have you ever thought about like going to church or talking to like a priest or something?" I'm like, "Fuck no. And she's like, no, I don't think so. But I mean, like here, you can go to this other place at uh, 6:30 today. There's this place you can go to. I'm like, what fucking place? She's like, oh, it's not a church. It's just like you can just go and talk to someone there. I'm like, whatever. What else am I going to do? You know? So I went there, and it was an NA meeting. I see the logo. They have like one of those the logo on the door. I'm like, what the fuck, man? She like tricked me to an NA meeting because I mean there was meetings in jail. I remember I've been to like some meetings there just to have something different to do. Like it was every Friday, whatever. There was like they had the meeting, but and then at that point I was so broken down. Then I'm like, well, what the fuck else am I gonna do? I guess I'll go and see what happens. And yeah, that was the start anyway. So I went in there, met some people, or like met someone that knew about me, and then like this person was like, "Oh, well, you should come. There's another meeting starting when this is over. Like, it's the you maybe you know the guy. Like he had a skate shop." I'm like, "No, I don't know anyone or any skate shops. I haven't lived there for so long, so." And then it was anyway, this guy was like, oh, come with me. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go to another meeting straight after. And then in that meeting, I saw a friend of mine who I've known for a long time also, who have also done a lot of drugs with. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? It's like, well, what the fuck are you doing here? I'm like, well, I went to the psych ward and I don't feel so well. And he's like, well, I've been here for blah, 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 and I feel pretty good now. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll give it a shot. And so, yeah, from then on, I just started going.
Yeah. So take it back a few steps. Like you said, you drove yourself to the psych ward. Why was that the place that you chose to
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even know really what I was gonna do or like where I was gonna go. I don't know. I had no other ideas of where to go. I just felt like I have to go somewhere, like get out of here. Like yeah, because I like have turned like scratched the side of my car on a pole in the parking garage, and like that's what was like, okay, well, this is not working. I have to fucking go somewhere, anywhere. And I don't know where that idea came from, but I was just like, psych ward. Let's try that.
and that's where they kind of introduced you or tricked you into was that lady was there who brought you to the
No, no, no. They were like, here is a prescription of fuck what they gave me, like
like diazepine or some shit?
yeah, like drugs, pretty much. I was like, yes, but what the fuck? What I already had this, but like in all other forms, and I'm like, I have this, I have cocaine, I have heroin, diazepam is almost the same. Like, why would I need more? And like that's when, and then she called me, and like the next day, I think I went and like took the pills, the prescription, like I got them out of the pharmacy, and I was like, what am I going to do with these? I already have this. But then it was, yeah, the next day, like she called me. And then when after the meeting, I was like, huh. Well, I never ever had I thought about like, oh, what if I just don't take anything? Like that had never crossed my mind like as an option.
Mm.
I had only thought like because I quit drinking at some point too because I fell over so many times and cracked my head. And I was like, oh, I can't fucking drink anymore. It's just sketchy. It's fucking dangerous because I keep falling over and like waking up with blood on my pillow and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I can't drink anymore. So I quit drinking, but kept doing everything else. And I'm now thinking like, oh yeah, that was my problem was alcohol. So I just pretty much because I could slam it in my face or whatever.
From the epically latered, when I watched you speaking on this and I watched you speaking on like how you felt after you get out of jail and how you felt before you drive yourself to the psych ward. I got this
Yeah.
just like almost like at that point in your life, everything was just like pointlessness. Like, what is
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
the point of getting better? What's the point of skateboarding? What's the point of going here? What's the point of going there? So when you're thinking something like that, and but now like I know you're playing, you're playing music and you're into a bunch of stuff, and it seems like your spirit has changed, you know what I mean? And you just seem happier and lighter. How do you go from that to where you're at now? And how do you recover from all the shit that you've been through to feel like there's purpose again, you know?
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's easy or easier to see like why everything was so because like the brain gets so empty and just drained out like from everything good, everything bad, like everything just disappears and it's just like it's just so empty. And I mean, and when you get to that point, it's hard to like to realize why and to realize why there's any point to anything. So like, well, I mean, because now I know like I know how and why you get like that. It's because you fucking like take these substances and it fucks with the whole natural brain system and just wipes everything out. So and that's why everything becomes pointless. Like so if you don't let yourself get to that point, and I'm sure a lot of people have got hungover and so hungover, and then maybe they've felt like a little glimpse of that, like, oh, what's the point of everything? But then they're like, they don't get drunk again or whatever, and they're like, oh, fuck, I feel like shit. And then once they get out of that, they're like, oh, okay, whoa, that's no fun. Like, but yeah, when you keep doing it and you keep doing it and keep doing it, then and then you won't be able to even have an option anymore because you don't know anything else because you're just so empty. And yeah, what's the point of anything?
It's actually
Yeah.
fun that, you were able to get out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was fucking hard for sure because it just gets so dark and pointless. And so, yeah.
How many years was it for you to get out of that mental paradigm?
I mean, I would say, I mean, after like, I remember looking like how many days. I remember like 74 days because like something happened, but it's not like that's not like it's a magic number or anything. But I understand why people in recovery always talk about 90 days because like it's somewhere around 3 months like that you may start feeling a difference. But for me, it was like something happened after like 74 days where I was like, holy fuck, not everything is pointless anymore. Like, I don't know what or why, but something happened. And I was like, started thinking like, huh, maybe there's hope. And like, maybe it's not necessary to keep going and like destroying your life because then maybe, and everything it is not pointless. And then after that, it was just like started to clearing up more and more. Like, and maybe like after a year, I was like, okay, this is what life really is. Like, it's not just misery.